Hello and welcome to the IEM Chicago 2018 B stream. We're plugged in where over the next 5 days, 16 of the best teams in the world will be facing off for the lion's share of 250K. It's going to be an amazing event and we are slap dam in the middle of it, joined by the wonderful SEO.
How's it going? This is the first time I've actually been to Chicago as well, isn't it? This is the first time IEM, 73rd event, in fact. So all in all, hopefully we'll see, some juicy action, I think it's fair to say.
There should be some fantastic matchups and excitement through and through. But before that, we're plugged in for the Predator pre-show, Ben, where we're going to be breaking down the event and looking into the nitty-gritty and giving those viewers at home a little bit more insight about what exactly might be going on. Obviously, we have 9 of the top 10 teams in the world actually coming to this event. So it really is a stacked one to round out the year. Yeah,
the only team missing, I believe, is an NIP, who they were probably thinking that Oakland might have been their event. They'd get an invite back to who's been the champions. However, it goes to Chicago. They didn't even try and qualify it. And then you saw Dennis with a tweet, I think it was yesterday or the day before. So going to be like, kind of disappointed to not have an invite here. But ultimately, that was kind of our fault. We didn't play in the qualifier. They thought it'd be at Oakland. So all in all, you're missing one team from the top 10. It's a very stacked event.
Yeah, it is crazy as well because there's so much flux right now. We've seen that through this season of ESL Pro League of how that's actually affected things. Teams like FaZe falling off, having good results on LAN, but they're struggling when it comes to that online season. So this one really is going to be jam-packed. I think there's a lot of interesting storylines that have been developing throughout the build-up to this.
Yeah, I saw a tweet earlier on, which was actually the last 5 Intel Grand Slam events have had 5 different winners, which that's kind of crazy in itself. That just shows how close some of these teams are. While most people think Astralis, easily the #1 team in the world right now, but consider the last 5 events have been different winners. It shows that there is a possibility to try and knock them off at least, but everybody needs to push them off fully, I guess, right? Because right now they still seem so dominant.
Yeah, you've got to force them off the podium. And that's not even including teams like the Dark Horses that are actually coming into this event.
Yeah.
You look at NRG, fresh off the win at CS Summit. They're going to be pumped. They've actually got confidence back in the roster once again. There is, a lot of potential here for big upset teams to try and sneak their way through. Some of the matchups we're going to be following on the B stream as well, Paul, provide a little bit more of a one side of the fair potentially to kick it off as well. So actually some sort of moments where we might actually see some of that.
Yeah, you mentioned Big, fun enough, as well. That's another team who, if you think about the online seasons, Pro League, for example, they're 3rd right now, and everybody's thinking, yeah, but surely it's about time they fall off. But God B is pushing that team through. We're getting lots of results online from teams where we don't expect it to happen. You mentioned FaZe. They're currently outside the playoffs even for Pro League. It looks like they don't even make it. And that's another part of the Grand Slam too. So it's another situation where they're going to fail to get to an event which would be huge in that Grand Slam effect. But you mentioned the teams on the actual B stream today. We're getting we're following the top 4 seeds, it looks things. So that's the bigger matchup for me would be that FaZe LDLC one to be later on today.
Yeah, we do actually have the schedule for that as well, which we can now bring up, have a look through and break down when we get into this one, Ben, because there are quite a few exciting matchups.
Yeah, so we might as well mention the seeds a bit. So this was actually the first time I ever used player-selected seeds, which kind of crazy. And on its own, you think, surely that can't work. You might have some teams collude or something. It'd be like, oh, let's all put that team down. But they've used a system where everybody gets their seeds revealed. They show what each team put down. And we get Astralis, 1st seed by everybody looks things. That's obviously fair enough. Yeah. They'll be against the 16th seed in MVP. They qualified through the Asian qualifier fairly recently, which I think the big thing we don't have, like we mentioned with that, would be the Asian qualifier did not have Tai Lu. And that's normally who you see being the representation of that region. So MVP, hoping to fill the boots that Tai Lu have left behind, they're usually quite keen for an upset as well. So I wonder how they'll do in this matchup. Yeah,
that'll be actually quite an exciting one, obviously, to open us off there. Moving on after that, LDLC versus FaZe. Now, for LDLC, their form has looked very good. Alex has been playing absolutely fabulously, really trying to flood that UK/French flag high and look good across the board, Ben. So that actually could provide for a very down-to-the-wire matchup. I feel like FaZe, they've been letting it slip here and there. Overall, the roster just seeming like they're really struggling behind. Karrigan, obviously, as well, with the current debate whether or not he will actually be departing the roster after this event, which is really a hot topic right now.
Yeah, it's been a hot topic for the past few months, really, isn't it? It's started off with a major, I guess, where Nico said, "I'm now IGLing," and that kind of makes you wonder why is that been happening, right? Because Karrigan, he's been so known as an IGL since he was under God B. He moved on from God B back in 1.6, became an IGL, and it was rivaling God B. Now he gets a team with all these star players. They do, I don't think they do poorly by any means, but they don't meet the expectations which you might expect. And from that, players start getting annoyed, not enough first place finishes, not enough tournament wins. And we now see a situation like this, which it's awkward in itself. But facing LDLC, as you mentioned, Alex has been looking phenomenal. Amanek, David Vec, they can perform the stage. And you're wondering how well they do. They had recent results against Astralis where they won one map 16-14, they lost double overtime to them. They look really good. I'm just wondering, can they bring it on LAN?
Yeah, that is true on land. After that, will be Na'Vi taking on the American side of E United. Most likely a one-sided affair there. And a round off the night, it'll be Luminosity versus Liquid. After that, James Banks and Tom Biz are going to be stepping in, Ben, for the best of threes, which will be a little bit more juicier, have some more meat on their bones, those last games.
Yeah, those will be elimination games as well. So that's simply put, whichever team get there, it'll be a team having to go home. And considering you mentioned United, Luminosity, the lowest seeds in terms of these matchups that we do have, you got to be thinking Liquid and Na'Vi both should be taking those games, but you never really know. It's a best of one.
Yeah, it is true. Anything can happen in that best of one environment. Start it back for the first game that we're going to be opening up the day with, obviously, Astralis versus MVP. It's going to be quite a spicy one. Astralis looking to most likely just try and dominate and walk all over them there in the initial game.
Yeah, you got to be thinking best of one. It's always going to be a bit of a weird one for teams like Astralis because they know we are number one right now. We know we are the best. However, you get teams now coming into it where they've watched so many demos of Astralis. They've seen all of their plays over and over again. They've got all this time to actually anti-strat them as well. However, have MVP done that homework? There's got a lot of concern whether do they have the star power or the firing power even to challenge Astralis, because they've got 5 players right now who I believe in 2018 they're all in the top 15 players.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen that for a roster.
No, it is ridiculous. So Master Astralis are currently being displayed on screen with their fragging capabilities. I have one question for you, Ben. Can they bounce back after Blast? I feel like that is what's going to be really on everyone's mind, right? That's a home event for them. They faltered, they struggled, and it isn't too great. That's on home soil. They've walked into the event looking like the absolute champions, the big dogs, but it just didn't go down that way. Is that going to be a confidence tank before you walk into IEM Chicago?
Well, I'm not too sure. It shouldn't be playing on their minds because they've had all these events come in, quick succession, right? At some point, those events, they don't become as big in your mind. Obviously, they had the Danish Prime Minister there as well, like talking to them personally, which I can understand. That would be quite, not pressured, but, you start thinking a bit too much about it. Yeah, everybody's looking at us. The nation is looking at us. However, they've played so many events in Denmark anyway. It might have just been one of those events where things just didn't go their way, right? That can happen. And instead of that, actual nervousness or just feeling under the pressure of it, surely they just know, okay, that was just one of those events. We can forget about that.
Let that slip away. Yeah, MVP on our screens now as well. A side that provides more on that aiming capability, as you said, quite explosive, obviously coming from the Asian region. Yeah. Ben, they're very aggressive. They just try and run headstrong and take you on no matter what position they're in. So always provide some blood first in their fights.
Yeah, it's like the Tai Lu factor, isn't it? Like we always see them and they just jump through smokes. Like we were talking yesterday about these Asian teams, and sometimes they are just, you start to wonder how many times am I going to say goes through a smoke.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if MVP will be that similar style or will they be more tactical oriented?
Yeah, that is true. Well, let's delve into the grandstand standings though and have a look how things have gone, because obviously it's still under a hot fight. Everyone is attempting to try and win that huge cash prize, Ben, but no one has been able to, and this is how it is currently looking.
Yeah, it's a very tough one, isn't it, really? Just the fact that you have to get 4 wins in a case of 10 events.
Yeah.
And there's the start I mentioned, 5 different winners in the last 5 events. You can see it right there. Mouse Sports, North, Na'Vi, FaZe, and Astralis, all winning an event in the last 5 events. And Astralis and FaZe, you can see it's ticking on them a bit. They've got 2, Astralis, for example, they need to win 2. And I'm not too sure if they'll be able to do it. It's a big ask still. But the question is, can they, build on that loss there at the Blast?
Yeah, it's a struggle for them, obviously, as well. Time is going to be essentially the constraint they have going into the last few events of the year, and that window is getting closer and closer, Bennett. It will eventually close away and leave them in the dust. Mouse Sports as well, currently they've got more room to play with off the fresh win from New York, but their form's been all over the place because of the constant travelling, obviously a Star Series, not having the best event as well, but a frustration there from some of the players, from how they've been feeling with potentially an overpacked schedule because of how busy all the teams have been. So definitely a little bit of a hard one for them to try and get themselves back in the right mindset to try and win, but they'll be definitely fighting it out throughout the tournament.
Yeah, they've also been one of those teams where they can actually just go 0-3 on an event in Swiss format and then win the next. Like we even watched them after New York. They still had snacks at that point. They won the event. However, they still were thinking, we still need to change something because it just doesn't feel right. We might have won that event, but Liquid were the ones who made the errors. We didn't really make the win. They made the loss.
Yeah, Liquid, another team as well that actually could be very interesting to watch because they now want to prove they can contend, right? They can take home trophies too. They get so close every time, but always fall away at the last second. Potentially, with a crowd behind them, the Windy City could blow them in the right direction.
Well, first they need to get there, don't they? That's the other bit as well. But they've got so many second place finishes, third place, fourth place. So many of them, yet they still haven't got that actual first place win. The last event they won, I think, was CS Summit. And that's not exactly, it's not the same kind of event, is it? Let's be real. Like, a lot of teams, they have more fun than they do competitive environment-wise. And it's fair to say it's not the same as going to an IEM, for example, or ESL1. They really do need to get a win on the board, though, for their own sake as well, because some of the players, it becomes a mental block after a while. Like, you have to be winning one of these events, otherwise you start thinking, do we need to change something? Do we need to change a player? That's not the case. The player, like, the roster's fine.
Yeah. They
just need to get that final, get over the final hurdle.
Especially be able to lift the trophy in that sort of environment as well, like an IEM or an ESL1, as you said, because it is just the prestige there that would carry them through, sort of try and keep the confidence close and it together. I think there's quite a few of our American teams who are actually going into this event that do have potential for upset. Onoji, the one I mentioned earlier, again, still trying to see how they actually look, because they flux around a lot. They never really stay in a consistent level. You can't expect them going into event to event. It always changes.
It's quite well done. They're actually the IEM holders right now. If you think about Shanghai, they won that event. However, in terms of events that actually attended it, you wouldn't consider it to be as premier as an event if you compare like the actual.
This is a lot more stacked, really, compared to what we saw there at Shanghai.
Especially when you consider they've been put 8th, 9th seed. So that shows you exactly what they might be the reigning holders of the actual IEM title, but it's not quite it's not quite the same surrounding teams. They need to actually put in a result here. I feel that actually shows they are still able to. Stand and bang, I guess, with some of those other teams. Yeah,
well, we'll delve into more on that and our opening matchup of Astralis versus MVP after the break. We'll leave you for now.
Think she can't get a last-second clutch? Watch this. Think he can't carry his team while streaming in high resolution? All the while recording a once-in-a-lifetime win? Watch this. Think leveling up only happens in-game? Watch this. On Intel Core i7, they'll rise to every challenge. Now it's your turn. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
If you've been waiting for a sign to quit cable, here's one.
It came from the toaster.
Now you can quit cable.
Switch to DirecTV for #1 rated customer satisfaction over cable. More for your quitting cable thing. That's our thing. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
The synergy of brute strength. Born of elite core power. To thrive under pressure. In the most hostile conditions. And built to overclock. Prepare for combat. Go forth and conquer.
I've been there since the beginning. Every map, every frag, every moment. I run, but I never hide. With knowledge comes power, and power is to be wielded wisely. Which is why, as the expert, I bet with Betway. If you know CSGO, then you'll know the best way to bet on esports is with Betway, for the love of the game.
They say it is about the journey and not the destination. That is true for those who don't know where they're going. That is true for those who don't know what they want to achieve. Is it about the journey? That depends on the destination.
Intel Extreme Masters Chicago is brought to you in part by Intel, AT&T, Acer Predator, HyperX, Betway, and Pay Safeguard.
And welcome back to the IEM Chicago B stream here, live from the ESL Cologne offices. Ben, we are plugged in, just waiting to get underway with our opening matchup, Astralis versus MVP. Now, what are your initial thoughts on this one?
Well, straight up, you've got the first seed, Astralis, considered to be the best team in the world right now against MVP, who you probably think is Tyloo in that qualifier, they'd probably take it over them. However, MVP are the team that are here now. In terms of match pool, they actually match up quite well. But ultimately, you got to think Astralis, they're, a few classes above MVP right now.
That's the worrying factor, right? Is because MVP as well, their strength comes down to that individual factor. And Astralis can counter that through and through because when it just comes down to the rifling, they're going to be more better. They're going to be equipped, skilled to deal with it. Whereas MVP have been faltering in some of these situations. We've seen that in the past. It's pressure as well. It's a ton of pressure dumped on them in this situation. Your opening game versus Astralis, you can't help but feel like they're going to be terrified of that lower bracket drop already.
The ultimate bit is that you might think of the pressure, as you mentioned, but technically, if you think about it, on the other hand, there isn't really much pressure. You don't expect them to win the game, do you? If you give it like a 100% odd ways, you probably think 5% chance of them winning, if not less.
Yeah.
Just because it looks like a very one-sided matchup. MVP, they have the chance to maybe catch Astralis out, is the other part as well, because as I said, there's so many demos for Astralis right now. You've got so much potential to actually look at, and from there, you could build something crazy.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because as MVP, there's not really that much of a benchmark you can go off. A lot of the games they played were, a little while ago now. You don't really have anything on the newer strategy of what they might be running, if there actually is going to be anything thrown into it. We have the Betway odds for this one as well.
And that kind of shows, as I said, it's a very
gives you an overall look, right?
Yeah, it's a very one-sided affair, and I don't think anybody would disagree with that either, because simply put, as I said, there are a few classes above them. Like, they've played so many better teams. MVP don't have that same benchmark, as you mentioned. They haven't played the same likelihood of teams. Astralis, they play teams like Na'Vi weekly. MVP, it's not quite the same opposition.
No, and that's a scary factor as well, because walking into that game, really, the level of aggression they're going to need to bring is going to be absolutely unparalleled. They do love an upset. They are one of these teams that can walk away with those games, but versus Astralis, it doesn't seem that likely.
Yeah, it's going to be a big ask for them. I think you need to have quite a few players perform very well. But the thing is, it's still best one. Astralis, they should know. We have all these pauses to use. We've got good backing, Zonic as well. They've got so many players experienced. They've been in positions where they shouldn't be losing a best one. They'll know when to pause. They'll know when to hold things back. When to even use a lot of strategy as well. They could hold back if they want to.
Yeah, and we've seen that in the past where teams will nearly upset them, obviously, in Pro League this season. They'll take that pause. They'll be able to reset. It doesn't matter really how far they go down in terms of a scoreline. They can always bring it back. That is just the nature of the beast with Astralis. They're very well equipped mentally to be able to deal with those sort of games. You said they've got the staff behind them as well that takes so much more pressure, and it alleviates off the Astralis players to just purely focus on that Danish fragging capability.
Yeah, it's a scary one because simply, but they're the team that have quite used the staff, as I mentioned, to the correct way. Like, they had a sports psychologist in, and that's a team that used to be similar to Liquid, like the same sort of choking where they can't do well at events. They get to that final, semi-final spot, final spot, and they just can't make it work. After a while, they finally got through, and once they broke that one hurdle, they were able to keep going over and over again. 2-time major winner now. So many other events they've won too. And they're in such a good spot to build on that even.
Yeah, because that is the crazy factor. I mean, if you look back on a few of the key players that are still in the roster from the TSM days, that was choke city every time. That was the constant joke because they would get to that position where they should take the event and something mentally would just stop them from getting over the final hurdle. And it's crazy how much it's actually impacted the players, been able to remove that stress from them, give them a little bit more of a carefree nature, and they've really fallen into it, taken it 100% in their stride. And since then, they've been dominant. I mean, it's fair to say we're still currently in the era of Astralis.
Yeah, we're slowly entering it at least, aren't we? Because it was April, I guess, when they started showing this extra stride. And from there, they've been able to build on it. And we've actually got to Nuke, which I was thinking, my notes, I've got both teams playing Nuke 9 and 10 times, both of them over 90% win rate. This is Astralis, remember, they're 17, 18 games unbeaten on this map?
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy.
It is ridiculous. It actually provides for a very interesting matchup, though. I mean, this one could potentially be quite an upset fest, Ben. If MVP can try and get a little bit of momentum behind them, they love the map, but Astralis are very effective on it.
And that's another thing where Astralis, they might not have been expecting this. This is another map where they think everybody's team should be afraid of this. But that means you have this ultimate chance to counter-strat them, find some holes in their defense. And Zipnik's the first one who's been challenged here.
Over towards ramp, they will swarm in and try and get a little bit aggressive towards him. Zipnips opens it up as he is able to fall back down as well. Support from Device, who rips off another headbend. They are being punished on their way down ramp, but free players actually get through.
Zipnik's already on the site. He's 2 HP. Dupree gets taken down as well, so he should be going down here with no kill. But he actually gets one still. Just Glow left now.
Glow. How long until his light goes out? Will he illuminate this round? No, doesn't clear towards the left. Glaive's going to be able to find him, assassinates him, and that is Astralis winning the opening pistol round.
That's the same pistol that Liquid ran against Astralis, and Zipnik's got a kill there last time. Device also got a kill. So it's gone the exact same way. If you were looking back at the major, that's the same pistol. They just didn't expect the players to do the same thing again, and they fall because of it, you know.
Been caught off guard.
Yeah, needs to be doing better, I think. But starting T-side as well, Nuke, if you don't get a good start, it gets out of hand very quickly.
Yeah. We can see it barrel roll into an awkward position. We are delving back into the second round now. For MVP, what would they actually be bringing to the table here? Just going for the Glocks, trying to keep that cash building.
Yeah, it's a very common thing we've seen so far with the economic changes. Not many teams testing the water in terms of actual investments. They think we might as well just save, get a better chance of winning the third round rather. And as you mentioned, it's just Glocks. Not even a chance of getting a kill here, really. Astralis not giving any opportunities, playing quite far back. Although Zipnix, he already has one kill, he's actually pushed straight into lobby, and that's the bomb now.
Ooh, Zeph, a bit of a ding coming out, but it's not too much damage. There's a small sliver there, knocked off of one man. There's going to be some further frags coming out. The aggression from Dupree, really just on cleanup duty at this point. Going to try and delete them both. One of them will go down. That's Zeph finished off with the UMP, and Dupree getting that frag on Zeph with the USP. So not as much cash there as he could have walked away with. But nevertheless, they pick up that second round pretty flawlessly.
Yeah, the only man who fell was Majesk. He did have a FAMAS, but Zipnix managed to recover that, so ultimately not too much of a worry, because Zipnix, he got 2 kills as well. That's his UMP paid off as well. So all rifles other than Dupree keeps it that MP5 against the all rifles and MVP. So the question is, what will they do from this? Looks like the smokes are coming out very early from them. So it's going to be those outside smokes, the same wall that we've seen so many times. But the question is, how will Astralis react to this? They're playing close already.
Look at the damage already done here as well, inflicted from the HEs, Ben. Solo just brought down to 56. It's not a fantastic start as he tries to get that control towards outside. He's very close towards Glaive, just hiding behind T-Red there, waiting to try and make a move.
So Glaive actually just runs straight through the smoke. That was quite bizarre.
Yeah, a bit bold.
Yeah, I guess he was thinking they might be walking behind it because he'd heard nothing at all. So that's one fake pulled by MVP there, right from the get-go. They don't use the smokes first thing. And obviously they have now the man advantage, and I think Upper just they smoked crows, but they're not actually coming in. This should be an easy fake call by Astralis. Like, oh, Zipnix, the only man on ramp, needs to fall back.
Yeah, drops the Molotov on towards the ramp, so he'll ignite it. They push straight through. Zeph taking a ton of damage. The rest of them slightly divided as well as they wait for the Molotov, but he finds the frag, Ben. That is the important set piece. They've now got free reign. They can roam around, start to secure towards the B-bomb site. Dupree rotates back around. Close support there from Device and Magisk as well, as they will arrive on the scene to try and help them out.
Double flash is coming in. Magisk should be able to clear this angle. Zeph already low, but it looks like they've gone towards A.
Yeah, they've actually gone for the old Fakeroonie bet. They've lampooned them, ran the entire way back up towards the A-bomb site. The bomb is now down, and they're in a 4 versus 3.
Yeah, well, this is still winnable for Astralis. I imagine they don't feel like it's worth going for it, simply because they've got no kill. There's a kit on Magisk now, but ultimately you're having to go up that vent if you want to retake it. It's such a hard task. It's not worth it. So MVP actually win quite an interesting round, I think it's fair to say, right? So Glaive gave away a kill outside, fine. Zipnix, I don't think he expected the player to just rush through the Molotov. He took half damage of that. Very bold play, that's for sure.
That's the crazy thing as well, because he ignited directly in the middle of the ramp. So no matter where you go, you're going to take a max amount of damage from the Molotov. Just straight up, just ignores the damage, runs through, and finds the kill.
He even gets hit on the head by a flashbang, so it delayed his movement even more. But I suppose that's the kind of situation where you know, it's these Asian teams that do catch you off sometimes. They'll go for a play that a normal team might not. And that's the kind of play that wins you rounds, I guess, because that map control, they had the lower site completely. They had ramp as well and lobby still. So they were able to do what they wanted.
And that's a running trait as well we'll most likely see with MVP throughout this matchup. Normally quite aggressive in situations. When it comes down to fight or flight, they generally seem to just choose fight and go for that more, you know, aggro power play rather than falling back and playing it safe.
So Astralis goes straight in with a full buy round. Dupree, the only man with no kit. But MVP go for those outside smokes very early this time. And they actually Molotov on the top of hut from the get-go. That's an interesting decision. I mean, it forces Dupree off, but he can just go straight back there. You haven't done anything to capitalize on that. So an unusual decision.
Here comes the outside control once again. Heavy use of smokes to block off the entire way. They go for the aggression. Glow finds himself another entry. Glaive goes down once more, but on the face towards the site, the crossfire appears to be much stronger, and they begin to get slaughtered, Ben. They're all falling down. It just falls to Dupree, ready to clean up towards the bomb site, as the only man that remains for the T side is Solo. In a 1 versus 3, he's on 16 HP, so it's not really doable. Let's see what he can actually muster up into this round. So a minute on the clock as he makes his move over. Xyp9x is in close proximity as he appears to be sniffing out, trying to catch his scent, Ben.
You can see the money on that T side though. They've got so much cash. If he even finds a kill or 2, they have such a better chance of winning the next round, even though they lost this one. But that'll be a very early decision they're set in stone, where if they go for an ace split, there probably will still be a player on that site, even if we get the first kill. Like, Dupree just held that fort down so well. 2 instant kills towards main, and from that, it was easy pickings, really.
25 seconds left on the clock here. Seems like Solo will just be committing for the full save and most likely get away with it, unless there is a push out. They're still just so close. Xyp9x just holds, so if he did go for the aggressive face-up, potentially the ladder, all round through the top, he would be detected and taken down, Ben.
Yeah, he's gone for the ball play just to assume they probably won't clear outside here.
Yeah.
Xyp9x, as the time runs down, he realizes this has to be a save. But Solo, it wasn't even worth him trying to risk that kill. He will stay alive, keep his gun. He can drop an AK across as well. So, for example, Glow doesn't have the money to buy. He can drop him an AK across. They can still buy into this one. And the Astralis cash is not fantastic.
Astralis, they're in a precarious predicament as well, because they're now left in a situation where they could be reset. MVP, if they can try and get that confidence going, shut them down as this round, bring it back in their favor. However, Ben, we're going into the first tactical pause. Used quite early on into the game, but MVP feeling like they need it now.
I do like seeing teams actually use them, like straight up, just because you've got 4 of them. You may as well use, if you use 3 of them on average per game, you're doing pretty well, I think. Even if you're winning a game one-handedly, you still should be able to use them, whether it's a, momentum, just talk about the game a bit. Don't go too aggro, I suppose. But this is probably talking about that buy that they could go for here, I think. Because obviously I mentioned Glow, doesn't really have much money. Solo could drop an AK, he actually drops the AK across to Zigan, which is an interesting decision. So you see a UMP was dropped across the Glow. Glow gets 2 flashes of Molotov. Zeta will probably get a gun himself. Zeph should do the same, but I imagine that'll be an SMG as well. Perhaps not enough time to talk about the buy, because it looks like they've run out of the timeout and freeze time's gone. Zeph hasn't bought yet.
Yeah, this is a bit awkward. Seems like they were potentially back into that one before they were actually ready, obviously, off the back of the tack pause to try and work out what they wanted to do with the cash. Nice use of the Molotov. This time actually count as Magisk again, but will they try and push with it and get the first pick?
It's an interesting one to use the Molotov like that. But I suppose if you Molotov, it gives you open room to go down the vent like he has just done right here. It's a really good move from him. They won't have no idea that he did go down there. They had no coverage on that door. The question is, what can he do in this round long term as well? Because it's such a good position. You can go secret if you want to. You can do a lot of things from here.
It just depends on the actual individual call. Right now, just defending, sitting towards the ladder. The rest of the team reshuffling back around as they get close over towards Hut.
I think it will be an upper execute with him going back up the vent, but I'm not too sure how well you do. It looks like going towards ramp now. I think simply because they don't have much grenades. They've got 2 Molotovs. One of them was down lower, and then just a flash.
Glow's going to pop that flashbang over as well towards ramp, and then now try and execute with it. So Xyp9x wouldn't have been blind in this situation as well, able to hold. They have no utility remaining to try and help them out on this actual ramp take. And he can call that he suspects a push here potentially as well. But what he doesn't realize is the flank coming around. Perfect positional play here. And Xyp9x, just be a matter of time until he's taken down. 1 shot, they've got the ramp control, they can flood the entire way down now, Ben. And once again, they've been able to gain access towards B. But Device, will he be there ready to defend it? No, loses the face, Ben, and his lips will be ripped off. Dupree starts to fight back as Glow will go out. Magisk gets overly aggressive as well, falls into the same trap. It's now a 4 versus 2. They outnumber Astralis, and this is getting worse by the second. They're starting to fall to pieces, Ben, only on Glaive now. The IGL, he had the brains, but he didn't have the brawn to overthrow Zeph, and that will actually be a huge round won by MVP. Nice play.
Yeah, it's a very well orchestrated play, and that was simply put because Device, at the start of the round, he went to ramp to get to lower and go secret. That window was broken. There was no need to make any noise in lower now. It gave that option for that play to occur. And it's an awkward one, because I don't think Astralis realised what happened. They just think, oh, they keep Molotoving on top of Hut. I don't really understand it.
Like, how did he get there?
But they've used that now so early that every time there's a Molotov on Hut, they have to be concerned about lower. So
Which is a good position to leave them in as well.
Yeah, it's a very long-term play, isn't it? Astralis buy straight back in though. The only gun really on Dupree here. Device has a scout, but he's got no armor, not much to back it up with.
I mean, we've seen him going crazy this season of Pro League with a scout, Ben, but I don't know if we'll be seeing it here today. A lot of damage done from the HE early on as well. Dupree takes the front of it. He's the one with the M4 as well, so unfortunate he was actually the receiver of that gift.
Zipnix did push up into the trophy room. Does not get the kill, but quite a lot of damage down. But ultimately, they needed to get an advantage here into the round quite early on. Device is going to be arriving, but might be too late.
Oh, that's unlucky as well. That would have been the tag player. That could have been an easy entry frag there for Device, at least put the numbers back into an equal standpoint. But instead, it falls on Glaive, really. In position, they drop towards him. They gift him the bomb and an AK, but it's too late, Ben. The trades are coming back through. However, this is rapidly falling out of favor for MVP. It's getting worse as time goes by here. We're now left in a 3 versus 2. Angle is defended by Magisk, who will just eradicate the first man that peeks him. There is a trade back, however, and it is now down to Zeta. And a 1 versus 2 here for MVP with 35 seconds on the clock. He would have to recover the bomb that is dropped absolutely miles away because of the play from Glaive. He knows where it is and will start to make his move, Ben, but Dupree and Device, surely they take this round.
It's a very hard position to win from. You can't know if the player's above you on the rafters either. The way Astralis have played it is so well, so divided, but played in such a way where they don't give away a pick either. Does get the bomb, but it shouldn't be impossible. Dupree just stops that. And that round is the classic one where a team is half ball or force ball into it.
Yeah.
And then you start executing onto that site, you lose multiple players in 5 seconds, 10 seconds. It goes complete anarchy. And you can't even get the trades in. Like, it was just too late. So that's another round where MVP, they win one and then ultimately get pushed back a bit. And they have to force buy again. They're stuck in this battle of attrition. We saw a similar game in Pro League on Cash from, I believe, it was Mouse Sports against, was it AGO, I believe? Where they just kept on force buying, they kept on getting these close rounds. But ultimately, it was too late when they realized. And they're going for a fast upper rush, but Dupree just gets destroyed.
Oh, this is a change of pace as well. The all-out aggression actually playing in their favor. Magisk trying to get the spam down. Will only find 1 kill with that MP5, but luckily, they've got a Zipnix. And he'll be able to pop off, takes down Glow, leaves him in the 3 versus 3. Once again, favoring the play towards the B bomb site. Solo will get it planted. And this is smart, actually, as well. Playing grouped up towards the A site. Trying to cut off the rotate from the source. Device and Co in position. Going to try and play with Glaive here, but on the face bend, Zeph just rips him a new one. And things are falling to pieces. They now have to go for the bold call. Do you just drop down the vent or do you clear the angles? Device, paranoid about this, starting to roam around and try and scope it out. They only now just realize the mistake they've made.
And Device, unfortunately, uses that smoke for nothing. I mean, they'll get the kill onto Solo, but it's just the fact that on a LAN situation, whether it's in the actual arena or in a studio sort of thing, you just can't tell. The sound is not that great in this game. Simply, but especially when it's just depth like that, you can't tell. It's only left and right. You pretty much can't hear.
Well, that's the thing. It's amplified as well because it's Nuke. You plant B site, you're able to fake them into a position where they truly believe it's A site, even on that retake. You're going to be so caught up in the moment trying to hear what you can hear that you won't actually realize. And although they did try and switch up a little bit, they made the B site plant sound slightly different. Still not helping him out there. Unfortunate stuff, and they will lose that round. But better, more of a tempo play coming out from MVP. Seems like they're starting to adapt now. And finally, they actually have 4 rifles across the board and a little bit more utility to play with as well. They've been lacking that utility the entire game.
And they do go with the close outside smoke, but not the distant ones here. So they're going for the firefight, and Glaive, he's out here, but doesn't expect that quick peek.
Ooh, Device trades it back, but Device will go down. Couldn't get the follow-up, and he will be sacrificed for the side of Astralis. Luckily, Zipnix popping off once more, eliminates Zeph. He's in close proximity towards Glow, though. And he is going to try and find him. Goes for the walk around, sitting on top in the elevated position. Could catch him off guard. Too heavily focused towards the ladder, but it doesn't matter. Zipnix with a flick.
That's a very disappointing spray right there. Solar now in a 1v3. He's got all the health points available to him. However, the bomb is down, and he's got 3 players to take out. And you could argue 3 of the strongest players currently in form. It's a very big ask. Even more so when he doesn't have all the utility available either. He's got smoke, which he'll use now. So at least close off one of the avenues, but he just gets sprayed straight through it.
Yeah, Dupree doing his best Daredevil impression there. Just going to spam through the smoke, find that frag, eliminate Solo. And Astralis will move themselves now to 5 rounds. 5-3 currently. MVP. No cash to play with at all, Ben. This is a horrible spot to be in.
Yeah, at least in the previous rounds, they had at least 1 player with decent cash. So you'd always have 1 player with like an AK, right? But that round, they won one off that quick tempo you mentioned. This time they decide to switch it up and go, again, quick but outside. They don't need to. They need to find out where the guns are. But instead they just fall into the same trap they did before. And they finally accept that they've lost the battle of attrition here. They go for an eco. However, it looks like they might be going to the meat grinder of Zipnix.
And Zipnix is just actually challenging
this.
Oh, that's huge. Actually, does slightly less damage than you thought it would, but when they push him, Ben, he is able to get the spray down on at least 2 men. They arm themselves, they grab the M4, but Device quick off the draw. As they'll arrive on the scene, Zeph attempting to get the reload off, barely gets the magazine back in, but just as he's done, he will be eliminated. Device able to pick up all 3 of those frags, as he will tidy them up towards the end of that one. And Astralis now goes 6-3 here on their CT side.
You can see how quick that rotate was, though. The fact that they had 2 players very close to them, already running straight in towards that ramp sort of side. And that kind of shows that, if you think about how often MVP have gone towards ramp so far this game, how many times they've chosen that avenue, whether it's the B or through the nest. It clearly is an area that they've focused on. And Astralis, they've adapted already. It's great to see that sort of adaptation this early in the game. MVP decides to go for those outside smokes again. The question is, what will they do from it? Look like it's the same as what they did in that first fire, and if you remember, it was only solo towards it. They've done the same Molotov on top of Hut, and not going to get down the vent this time. Dupree's watching it.
Yeah, they're alert. They're aware of how they made that play in the previous round. Nearly just walked straight into them, but does start to dial it back a little bit. 1 minute and 23 seconds left on the clock here. And Astralis, already tons of map control. They've been playing very aggressive. Zipnix, complete confidence here.
Solo has managed to get towards Secret, though. So the question is, what will the ramp players do? They get pushed off due to that Molotov. Device, he's been scoped the whole way. Should be an easy kill if he checks it, but it doesn't look like he does.
Almost. Barely gives up in the last second there to clear the tight right angle. So instead, Stolo gets the frag. But the difference is this time they're aware there is a player backstabbing. They know that he can try and come in up through the rear. So Zipnix won't be as dubious. Can try and fall back and get into a better position here. But expects this push to come out. Glaive attempts to assist. Good use of the nade, but they've already pushed through. And they just Ferrari peek him, Ben. Sprinting straight towards him. That's going to be an early entry frag, followed up by the extra kill from the UMP as well. The backstab from Dupree needs to be everything, but he's down somehow, still fights through with 5 HP. Dupree has just won them the round.
That's a huge play. In fact, he pushed straight into the lobby off of that action towards Secret. He's then able to get that backstab in. They were planning to go up Nest as well. They knew they'll expect B. They probably have a player in there. Dupree gets those 2 kills, bomb down, and they know there's no point in me even trying to protect that bomb. He'll probably go towards Upper just because of how much time he has left. And he's actually relocated towards Upper already, I believe.
So 1 player upper, 1 player lower. But look at the position, Dupree. They don't realize if he clears towards the angle on the right, Solo would find him, but because the time constraint, instant goes for the bomb plant. Dupree, easy to tap 1 more shot off from that Kalashnikov and round it out to a 4K for him into the round. 12 frags to 3 right now. Dupree opening up nicely.
Yeah, really solid rotations. And a good knowledge of the game, really, as well. Like the fact that he knew 2 steps ahead of the other team, right? Yeah, even in that 1v2 there. And MVP, though, we have to resort to another eco here. We're looking at 8-3 scoreline already. Astralis, while they've had a few scrappy rounds, if you remember the game at the Major against Liquid, it was very scrappy, but ultimately Astralis came out on top, and it looks like it's the same again.
Yeah, it looks like it will go that way. I mean, MVP, on their T side, faltering in rounds. You can see the ideology behind it, behind a lot of the plays they're going for, and it is smart. It's just unfortunate it comes down to the execution. Astralis, the raw firepower and the quick decision-making is what is giving them the edge, really. Just the clutch plays looking better.
Yeah, there's a 4v5 already. There's 2 deagles bought from the MVP side, but not many people giving them a chance outside, by looks of things. Not many people facing, other than holding their own angles respectively. Dupree will give him a chance, and he does take it as well. Quite a whiff, I think, from Dupree there.
Yeah, not too fantastic. Just Zeph and Solo that now remain. P250 Deagle. Any upset potential into this round, as they will be backing off. At this point, it's just really what you can try and get done. Solo goes for the backstab, will move his way around. No one's really in close proximity. It doesn't really help them out either. They haven't got the map control. They don't have the bomb. 45 seconds as time does start to tick down. Zipnix could fall into the trap, but expects it. Peeks in, kills Solo. And now Zeph has to make the power play with the P250. Bust through the door, waving the 4-4. But he is taken down, Ben. Magisk will annihilate him.
And that's the first round Astralis have actually won, where they've had quite a few people alive in the past few. You can see the money starting to be built now. MVP take a timeout. Kind of expected, really, because they keep doing those outside smokes. They haven't once actually used them fully, either. They've always had it with just 1 player solo, coincidentally going solo outside. And I wouldn't say it was bad from him. Both times he's had a kill. It's just on the other side of the map, they're faltering. And that's kind of, they have to be talking about what do we want to do, because it appears our regular default, which is to do that and then crush onto one of the sites, is not working. Astralis are moving around so well, we don't get the opportunity to capitalize. I would like to see them actually do a fast A rush with that Molotov they had, like a slightly early execute. Because they will catch players out of position, too.
We have gone into another pause off the back of that as well.
I imagine one of the teams not quite ready, I guess.
Potentially. Yeah, that's true. I mean, the things with the Molotov right now is doing a good job at least forcing Magisk into an awkward position. However, they are prepared for it. Dupree suspects the push now. They know what can be going down towards A. But if they did try and play it a little bit differently, potentially just go for the burst out through hut, clear towards rafters, try to just pick them a piece on towards the site, it could fall better in their favor because they've got the aggression. We've seen the firepower can come out at times. It just feels like it's not really what they want to fall back on. They're trying to go for these more backstab strategies, open up the maps, gain the map control, and fall in from there. Heavy execution towards ramp has really been the key to success for them. And it's unfortunate because Zipnik's, the difference is he's so mobile towards ramp. He's always in a different position. He's got constant backup as well. It's not just him you have to take down. It's the fact that Device can be there in seconds if need be. And at that point, you're really running into your own demise. Device now running the AWP as well. First time we're going to be seeing it coming out into this matchup. An absolute beast with a weapon, Ben.
Yeah, it's been a gun he's actually been pulling away from at times as well. We've seen it in Pro League. He starts rifling a lot more, simply because the game is a lot more economic orientated, I suppose, right? You don't always have the money to get an AWP, but whereas a rifle, you can probably scrape by with just Kevlar with it as well. And it's kind of been interesting to see because he's so good at the rifle as well.
It feels like that's sort of been what we've seen from across the board from a lot of AWPers that have tried to actually switch it up a bit now and have that preference of being more of a hybrid player, being able to use that rifle when necessary on the T side, whip out the AWPs at times more towards the CT side. Definitely a lot of changes coming into effect, but we're back into it, Ben.
So the outside smoke's come in again. We saw Solo going on his own towards that side the previous rounds. That will be the case again. There's a lot more players towards up at this time. Dupree sitting in the fire for quite a long time and gets a kill. I think Magisk put that Molotov out for him. That was a really good play.
Oh, okay, so Zeph does make it down. So they've at least got that backstep potential. However, they already down a man, which is going to make it a bit more awkward for them. Device in position as well if anyone tries to defy back around Secret. Zeph could make a play there.
The window should be broken again as well, so he actually should get a backstep towards ramp. The question is, are his teams able to wait long enough for him to make the move?
And was Zipnik's been in a position to actually detect him this time? Spotted him out, Ben, but at the split second they were able to actually find that frag. You see the rotate coming around as well. Glaive attempting to assist. Goes straight into the Molotov. Look at the damage coming through there. Left on 38 HP. Lucky to stay alive. And Zeph has so much more to do. His job is not over yet. In close proximity to the other players, but the backstab from Solo is incredible. They focus too heavily on him as well. Tunnel vision in, so it just starts to crumble down to the bare bones. Device and Glaive, the only two remaining members, but they're being punished. Device goes down, and Glaive not in a position to really pick this one up. It's a 1 versus 3 with not too much time left. Does have a kit, but the chance is unlikely. This should go 8-4 rounds. 8-4, Ben, with 4 rounds being the difference here between either side.
And that's another round won by MVP, simply put through, taking advantage of that vent drop, right? That's simply put, they've managed to get the guy down there. And again, it's a round where Device has gone through Secret. It's been quite unfortunate for Astralis because they probably haven't done that too many rounds. Glaive probably being a bit too overzealous there on the actual save too, because you can see the money. Dupree does not have much left.
That's the thing, we can see that weakness now as well towards ramp. If they can get the backstab off, it does start to crumble. They've got good aim when they get into those clutch situations. They can hold the angles. They're able to win all of their crossfires. MVP just faltering when it comes to the all-out aggression. Dupree as well, going to be switching it up a little bit. Bust out the XM10, so the auto shotty will be on patrol, supported by Device AWP.
Yeah, so the XM10, a big pickup on this map from a lot of players. And this is going to be an interesting boost to actually go for the peek outside. Device is holding the gap towards CT blue, but not really going to get a chance. He's not playing in towards that garage area, at least he wasn't peeking it. He will do now, though. He's about to move, but Zeta's looking the wrong way. Ooh. Device, he knows he just shouldn't peek this angle, simply put, because it's a right-hand peek.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. He's holding that push out, and he does get taken down, though. He goes for the peek. It's very unneeded.
It's unfortunate as well that got information, was able to see his foot when he was up on top of the box, so when he dropped down, holds the angle, finds that early entry frag. And when they have got control towards outside, this is when MVP have been in a good situation to actually start to pick up the round. However, Glaive, this could be a spray down of a lifetime. If they do play it slowly, they push through, he only gets one. Tried to get a follow-up headshot, but Glow will trade it, Ben. Look at them burst into action now.
Quite unusual that Zeta was the one leading the way.
Yeah.
The up. That's an unneeded death, perhaps, or at least you lose the weapon rather than the player there. Quite weird. But they are in the lower site. Zipnik's the only man here, really. He has to come up massive, and Majestic's already started it off.
Being able to frag from the back line. Majority of the players there grouped up towards Vents, going to be roaming their way back around as they do loop through. Didn't fancy coming out of one individual choke point. They wanted to try and be able to burst out through the door, through the window. Instead, Zipnik's one step ahead of them, but it does not matter, Ben. The defense won't be tenacious at all. He will go down. Dupree's now in position, but the shotgun will have limited range from this angle. And Zeph, quick off the draw there, lands the headshot, smashes him down, and MVP, they get another round. And again, it's that trend towards the B site. If they can get the control towards Secret or Ramp, they can collapse, they can close it down, Ben.
And Astralis, they're actually going for the buy here. This is quite an unusual one. This is round 14, so if they lose this one, round 15, the buy will not be much better. This is giving MVP an opportunity to get to that 7-round, reach. But you got to be thinking that this is the kind of round they lose, MVP. It's against those half buys, rounds they should be winning. They've already lost 2 or 3 rounds like this. And that was a really unfortunate spray from Majestic to run into. If you're Astralis, though, that's a 1-for-1, and you're probably thinking we've taken an AK out for a CZ. But I think Solo has grabbed that gun and thrown it away. So that's a really good move from them as well. And he even takes the CZ away.
So 4-4 into the round. Dupree re-smokes it to try and get a bit more aggressive here. As he will hold the angle, trying to recover that weapon as well.
Yeah, so not much really happening in this 4v4. MVP playing it a lot slower, at least, because we saw them in that anti-eco round before. They played it really aggressively, and unfortunately they're out into the trap. This time they've learnt from that. Obviously they've already lost one person, it was a trade. But they're hoping to actually get it down to like that last 45 seconds, then crunch onto one site. However, it is devised with the scout they're running into, and he gets a tag, but does fall down himself.
Ooh, Zipnik's detects them on the cross, but limited range capability really there with that CZ, so they have got control of the B-bomb site now. Glow gonna once again make his move back through the window. Glaive suspecting it with support of Dupree. As he peeks, he gets a tag off, but can't convert it, but it will not matter, as his teammates can do the damage for him, Ben. And they will pick up that round. 8-6 now. Looking like there is potential for an 8-7 half in favor of Astralis, and their cash is so limited walking into the last round of the first half.
That was the risk they ran into, though, wasn't it? You force on the round 14, you make sure you do not have cash for round 15. Simply put, you're going to have the same sort of buy again. The one advantage they have is they've got a mag 7, and on this map you can do some absolute work with it, to be fair.
You can slay. And Dupree, definitely the man to have the weapon in his hands, can wield it to a very high pedigree. Let's see if he can do some damage early on into this one. Once again, that standard opening Molotov and smoke combo towards the A site. The Vice tries to switch it up a little bit towards outside, but they've got the control. They've fragged him already, Ben. They can start to push back down towards Secret.
And you can see Astralis already dropping loads of players down the vent. Dupree is here with a mag 7, but he doesn't even get the first kill, but he gets the second chance and a third.
Oh, he got the tag on the other player behind, was able to then finish off Solo, goes back for sloppy seconds and shuts down Zeph. And now we're left in the 2-on-2. Glaive gonna get his head popped off. And it is all up to Zipnik's, Ben. A 1 versus 2 in the round. 1 minute and 10 seconds to play with. The bomb isn't down. However, all he has to his name is a CZ and a flashbang.
He's done crazier things, though. They consider him to be a clutch master. 1v2. No kit, only a flash, and that CZ. And they're not going to give him a chance here, even. He has to walk through hurt. But there's so many avenues he can be shot from here. However, that sound cue gives him an opportunity, especially when he tags player on site. Unfortunately, can't get it.
No, crumbles away there. So we'll be going into a break here before we delve back in with the second half. Hello everyone and welcome back. We're going to be jumping into the second half now between Astralis and MVP. It's an 8-7 at the end of the first half. We are currently going to be in a bit of a pause now, waiting for Astralis to get themselves ready, Ben, but it didn't look too wild for MVP. The rounds they won don't actually allude to as close of a scoreline. It was the same strategy a lot of the time, being able to get that control towards ramp and secret, getting the backstab and being able to eliminate Zipnix that got them into a position to actually win so many rounds. When they went for these straight up firefights, Astralis were winning the majority of them.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because you go thinking if it seemed like Astralis shouldn't be faltering to the same error. Like, you know, it's like full million shame on you, foolishly twice shame on me. But somehow they got to lower twice, they got behind Zipnix twice, and from there, you know, they probably got about 5 rounds off of it. Astralis do go for the smokes on 2 players though, use them very early, and they're actually going to be diving straight towards secret. They will be seen on the way down, so that is some knowledge. But I think he only saw the last 2.
Oh, there's actually a straggler as well. A man lagging behind there, and Zipnix that'll be going a little bit late towards outside. He can get the read on them and have some extra info into this round, but Solo will need to deal with him. He doesn't. Goes down. Zipnix finds that frag. Dupree as well, trying to get aggressive here as he bounds around. They're in a 3 versus 4 bench. They are outnumbered, and the frags keep on rolling through. Glow defends as the push comes towards him, eliminates Device, and it just falls onto Dupree and Zipnix.
There is a player in the vent, which does stop them from going towards that upper site. But Zeph is so low, and he has no armor either. Gets taken down for free. And Dupree, that's an maneuver him to go straight towards upper. Zipnix has kill while running past him.
Oh no!
Dupree fell! No!
Oh, Dupree falls down the ladder, Ben. The blockage, the traffic just gonna stop him from actually making his way up. So Dupree potentially throwing this round away here unless he can go on to clutch it in a 1 versus 2. Oh, the flow through the ladder, but he finds both of the frags. Ben's going to be able to pick it up anyway. It does not matter.
Bailed himself out. I think
Yeah.
safe decision there.
It paid off in the end.
That's so weird, though. Dropping back down the vent, whether it's by mistake or intentionally.
Yeah.
That's so bizarre. And the tactical timeout is probably just to, whether it's from the momentum of him winning that round, or simply put, because of that error that was made.
So they can all just calm down a little bit. Dupree, though, having a monster of a game so far. 19-8.
Yeah, he's not been challenged too much either on the A side. Like, they put the Molotov in to kind of stop the way he was playing at least. But he's been able to, you know, adapt from that and do very well. Zipnix the same. He has so much pressure towards ramp though. I think it's fair that he should be on that sort of kill count. But Astralis do take that pistol. MVP probably should have done better really. I suppose it was quite unfortunate that Zipnix got killed while running past as well. But they were then gifted a kill back. So ultimately the 2v1 not working out in their favour.
At this point as well, Dupree there with a Mach 10 in his hands. Could try and build himself quite a nice bit of cash getting into this round, Ben.
Yeah, the 3 SMGs, obviously the Mach 10 is the highlight due to that movement capability. But just though, look how aggressive this is. Just with an AK, he just bounds forward. Just a free kill.
Yeah, that is a backstab and a half. Eliminates Solo. There is only 1 frag back in their favour, but actually they're popping off with the USPs. Little pistol snipers coming out. Zeta as well, trying to carry on the damage. He had the AK in his hands, and the players were all very low. So it's surprising it's actually gone down like that. Quite a rapid round to come out as well. Scary.
And you can see that money that Zeta got, he's now got an AWP and armor. So normally you're restricted to just the glass cannon, depending on how many kills you do get on the pistol and the second round. He gets 2 kills that round. Kind of crazy, really. I'm not too sure how so many players took that much damage.
So the third pause is going to be coming out now for MVP as well, so they can actually work out what they're going to do going into this round. The AWP on Zeta could prove to be a massive thorn in the side of Astralis. They shouldn't really expect it.
Yeah, they might have an inkling, but you know, it's not what you're first thinking. You're thinking of your own ideas, aren't you? At least this early on in the game, right? But the pause gives you an opportunity even to think about why are they pausing? What are they going to do out of this? Will it be something aggressive, or are they simply just talking about what they want to do in terms of buys? So Zeph, he actually goes for the pure offensive utility buy, Molotov and HE. So that to me says they're doing something aggressive, perhaps towards outside. Otherwise, there's literally only 1 smoke and a flash. Otherwise, there's so much damage utility bought by the CTs.
It's crazy. Double Molotov, double HE.
And they've used both the Molotovs straight from the get-go just to stop an upper rush everywhere to come through. And that Molotov they threw just then was actually incredible. It bounced into the doorway. It bounced off the wall straight in.
That is wild. If they do that again, we need to try and catch that, because...
Yeah, I'm surprised. I feel like the T's would be beyond it, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If there's 1 player charging, they'll have a good spawn for it. They should be able to get all the way in. It's quite weird.
And that's all that utility expunged in seconds as well. Glow now gets detected. Luckily, he held on to that second HE. And Solo, this could be such a big play, Ben. There's no reason for him to expect a player behind the big box. Peeks out, kills one, tries to get the adjustment. But unfortunately, Zipnix is quicker. Picks up his fallen brethren's Kalashnikov as well and looks to try and punish with it. But his teammates are falling like flies. They're being plucked out of the sky. Dupree will be able to fire back, eliminate Zeta at least. But it is now just a 2 versus 3 here.
It's 2v3. Very awkward position for Glow to be in, though. He's the only player towards that lower site. Zipnix seems very aware of that, at least, as well. Which is why the CT towards ramp, they're having to make the play, but Dupree is doing the same thing. They didn't even clear it fully. They just checked to see if he was openly peeking. And from that, they're just going to assume they might have gone up nest. But Dupree making quite a bit of noise there for no reason, by those things.
Yeah, being a little bit loud and potentially careless. When they do go in towards this B-bomb site, Glow will be ready for it. Is he going to be fresh to death, though? As the push comes through, gets one. Spams down, attempting to connect onto the second man. Now detects Zipnix. Holds towards the angle. His teammates will arrive on the scene as well. Zipnix not quick enough. Flicks around. Nearly finds that kill. But will still go down. MVP start to bring themselves through these rounds. They bring it to a 10-8 scoreline now. But they've got so much to do. And you can see still how scrappy it comes down to in the later stages of these rounds, Ben.
Yeah, it was a really good round in terms of the actual, like, pure movement, right? They had 2 players straight from ramp, 1 player already in lower, a player at the back of ramp even. Like, they could have got so many kills just on the ramp plays alone. And the odds somehow, they actually are closer than they were at the start of the game. MVP are in a good position right now. If they win this one, they're probably going to tie it 10-10.
Ooh, nice bit of damage coming out early on as well. As Dupree and Glaive will be slapped down. They have been able to find their way through Secret, but they lose Dupree on the push, and they have a full read of the amount of players that are trying to go for this courageous burst down towards the B site. Magist leads the charge. He's the one that's armed with a Galil. But Glow and co are in close position to actually try and defend here. Spots out Glaive as they push out. Zeph attempts to help, gets the tag onto Glaive's back foot, leaves him on 55 HP. They're smoked off, but they still have the left side to peek from. And Astralis, they're just roaming around, taking more and more digs.
Yeah, they're stuck in this lower site, but just purely off of the fact that they can't get out. They finally get out due to the Molotov and smoke combination. But you're now in a post plant with just a single flash and CZs, basically. You need to make a play.
And this is the play to be made, Ben. Glaive. Close range, peeks up with the CZ, gets the dink. Glow's left on 11 HP, but they still lose another man. Device needs the double kill and finds it. Grabs the AK as well. He can roam around and attempt to assist his teammates towards the site, and they are picking them to pieces. Things are starting to go wrong here for MVP. 3 players towards the site. They're going to jump on the bomb. Device spams the wrong side, misses every shot. Zeta is able to hold it the entire time, finds it on the repeak. Zeph will jump on the bomb, but there is nothing for him to do here. This round is over no matter what, as he aggresses out, tries to get away. Zipnix going for the knife, will go down. Astralis win that round. Device somehow living. Oh, it seemed like he wasn't going to find that kill. I thought that was going to be the round picked up. The full defuse, just sat on the bomb the entire time, spraying towards the wrong side.
It's just the fact we have it X-ray as well, so we can see the spray outlining him completely.
It's like the start of Ali G.
The fact he even had the time to reload fully as well, it's kind of crazy. Astralis, they get a lifeline purely off the Device's play. Like, Glaive attempted to make the play, but unfortunately, Device gets 2 kills. He expected another player. If he didn't expect a second player at Secret, they probably do still lose that round. And MVPs, look at that cash. But they do still get a kill back, though. That's a nice kill to find early on, especially when Device taking so much damage towards ramp. Astralis, this is not looking good for them. Losing players left, right, and centre bugs things.
Yeah, this is a real struggle. And it's not even as if MVP had a lot of firepower, a big investment going into this round. It's basically just the pistol play that's been coming out. Device and Zipnix will get a kill apiece as they get that double play towards B. It's a 3 versus 3 now into the round. Glow comes out of dark spot, starts making his move up towards the bomb site, finds Zipnix, the double tap down with the USP to eliminate him, has backup from Solo, but Solo didn't realize Magisk's been in position this entire time, massacres Solo, Device will join in as well, rips the head off of Glow, and although it was a shaky round, it's a round nonetheless for Astralis, giving them a 12th now.
Yeah, MVP, consider the only investment they had was that CZ purchase. He gets 2 kills with it. And that basically guarantees you should be forcing into this round, because you've made it so 2 players were left alive. Their money will not be great on the T side. MVP, you can see they purchase in Scout, FAMAS, 3 M4s. You've got no kit, is the worry bit. Plenty of smokes to work with, though. However, Astralis, they seem to have an idea straight from the get-go, and Solo's managed to get to a secret here. This could be a big play, but look, they expect it. That Molotov won't actually get to him, though. It's landed far too short. The second one will, though. Although, the first one didn't land inside the actual building. The second one did, but too far. That's so awkward. They have to take the firefight now, and that's... I was going to say it's a risky decision, but thanks to that right-hand peek, they do get the kill.
Could have been awkward, but Device makes it work. Device with a further follow-up frag as well. Zeta, close range, couldn't get the shot off with the scouts, and no even damage inflicted. And all of a sudden, there was one. Glow left in this position. But is he going to be the candle that burns twice as bright, but for half as long now, as he makes his play? Device in close proximity. 50 seconds left on the clock. The peak comes through. We'll be able to adjust and get the headshot, but it's left him pretty darn low.
Yeah, well, he is very low. You were thinking there's so much time left, even with that bomb being planted. The fact he doesn't stay alive obviously guarantees MVP. They will not have money to buy here, unless they go for a bit of a weird force buy, if anything. You can see most cash about 27.50. It's not much. You can't really work with it. Although you might think there's a lot of close angles in this map. It's far too big of a risk to do it right now when you can just wait one more round. And you got to be thinking Astralis, they should get to 14 rounds here. And what at halftime felt like a closer game in terms of scoreline, they've created a huge separation immediately into the second half.
That's the worrying factor. That's what I was saying. Even though on paper it does look like a close scoreline, if you break down why it went that way, it's not as equal. It is more one-sided. The Danish side definitely proving they are equipped to deal with MVP. From this point onwards, Ben, this could really easily be a 16-8 scoreline if they carry on like this, because they are just fragging everyone. Dupree again with another hat-trick of frags, as he will be dominating. 25 kills to 11 deaths right now on him. Dupree popping off, having quite a nice early game to IEM Chicago.
MVP do use that final tactical time that they do have as well. Better to use it than not to bother, right?
You might as well, you've got it.
Yeah, you need to win 8 rounds in a row if you wanted to actually get the win in regulation. It's a big ask, but obviously you might as well talk things over, see if you can even get in the game to begin with. And the worrying sign is that you've got 3 players currently playing really well for Astralis, and that's without Magisk or Glaive even doing well. Like, Magisk was one of those players that was highlighted quite a bit in terms of their success recently. Just pure entry fragger. He lands the kills when needed. But instead we've got Dupree playing well, Zipnik's Device. And Device hasn't exactly had a fantastic game, really. He had that one round on the T side. Otherwise he's been quite quiet, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's more so been that he hasn't really been in opportunities to pop off too much. Across the board, this game has been fairly whitewash. You know, if it carries on the manner it is as well, it'll end relatively quickly, so we won't really see that many rounds played out. But the buyers come back through. 4 M4s there for MVP. 1 AWP on Zeta. Ooh, the aggression coming straight out. Astralis trying to give them a taste of their own medicine, and they do not like it, Ben. They need some sugar to help this one go down, because it is going to be absolutely disgusting. They are being picked to pieces. Glow going to be backing off as well with the rest of the remaining squad from MVP. This could be a full-on save. Just call it quits, keep the economy, keep those weapons, and bail out. Only one player actually playing on a close position, which will be Solo. Everyone else going for the full commit here.
You could tell that was a very drilled save, actual execute from Astralis. First player through the door goes straight to the vents, watches on top of Hut Peak. Second player goes straight out, swings, gets the kill. And obviously it works exactly how they would expect it to. But you can see the hunt is on. They do get knowledge of at least one player towards it with the AWP. And you can see the hunt just go straight in. That's a fantastic shot by Glaive.
Yeah, that is huge. If they can eliminate Glow, they'll get every weapon out of the hands of the CT side. Take him down just before he finds that frag. Glaive will be able to walk his way through. Yeah, they don't want that AWP on the T side. Just happy with the more aggressive tempo play. Just going for the fast, speedy takes. You can see as well when we flashed up the scoreboard there, Ben. Since the latest update, they've now changed it. So it will predict, you see the little trophy? It predicts when the closest game is like, which team's closest to ending it.
It's a nice little thing, and I think they also fixed the panorama thing where it resets the scoreboard.
They did, yeah.
I think,
which is good.
That's good as well. Means we keep the ADR and everything. MVP now. Needs to win this one just to get a chance to stay in this game even. It's very interesting to see the evolution of Astralis though, in fact that all rifles is 1A for them, 1B is with an AWP on Device for looks things. Already a 4v4 though, Zeta's so low. Trying to make a play, but it's a big ask, isn't it? He's only got UMP. Even worse when Glaive finally spots him.
Yeah, it's what do you really do in that situation as well? basically just a desperation play. 3 players that now remain for MVP to try and keep them in this matchup versus Astralis. Glow finds one, eliminates the Vice. Magisk, you can't help but feel like Glow should have found that frag there, Ben. And this should be the beginning of the end. Astralis so close now to getting their grips on that 16th round and picking up the victory over MVP.
Yeah, only an MP down to work with and a flash. No kit. And Astralis, they've got this covered, but just watching the angle. Doesn't get the kill, but Glaive does pull off the bomb plant just to secure the frag. 16-8. I'd say it was probably more one-sided than the score would reflect, but it wasn't too, it was like probably a 16-5 in terms of actual kills counted, right?
Yeah, so 16-8 scoreline there with Astralis taking the victory over MVP. We'll be heading to a break before we get back in with our next game of the day.
Intel Extreme Masters Chicago is brought to you in part by Intel, AT&T, Acer Predator, HyperX, Betway, and Pay Safeguard.
There was no MVP for MVP there because Astralis went straight to the stars on Nuke, Benjamin.
Yeah, very one-sided affair. The scoreline 16-8, not quite as one-sided as one might think when looking at it like that. But Astralis, they looked in control the whole way. They were winning the battle of attrition, both sides of the map. And ultimately MVP, they got some rounds on the board, but it's not quite enough when you're facing a team like Astralis.
No, it is rough. To open it up as well, it was the fact that MVP on that T side was so limited in what would actually work for them. They didn't really have many backup plans or other plans at all, really. It was that one play that was saving their bacon.
Yeah, the one player being able to get down the vents without being seen at all, due to the Molotov, the smokes covering that way. And from there, they were able to get those picks towards ramp on Zipniks and then open up the map. But if you're relying on a pick like that, things are not going to go well. Simply, but you need to find kills in a different way. You need to be able to stretch the map, spread them up, get control, and they just couldn't do it.
Yeah. We didn't see really much else as well. The rounds where they did try and go for a tempo play, we saw one take towards the A site, really a couple of bursts here and there towards ramp, but it was that controlled aggression we were seeing time in, time out as well. MVP being a little bit rushed into some of the rounds we saw, but they would start to get the advantage and cause some misplays due to their own overconfidence. We saw them dial it down a little bit towards the second half there, but at that point, it just seemed like their life was really cut away. Astralis just got back on form and reminiscent of what we expected to see, really, from Astralis on Nuke.
Yeah, this round in particular was the big one, wasn't it? It was 10-8, and Device made that huge play towards Secret.
Yeah.
2 kills with the CZ. And that kind of made the half suddenly go very quickly. MVP were not able to get rounds on the board. They weren't able to get kills on the board. And it just wasn't, enough, was it, really? They need to have a player... I said they need probably 2 or 3 players to step up here. But no player, I don't think either of them, or any of them rather, got to 20 kills even. And that's in a 24-round game.
Yeah, that's what's crazy as well, because on the different side for Astralis, you had Dupree, who was popping off, really close to the 30 bomb there throughout, as he was just dealing damage. Device, not as much of a high-impact game, but still, when necessary, finding those impact frags. Zipniks towards ramp, basically immovable. The only time they did actually get past him was when they pulled off the backstab.
Yeah, that kind of shows that, doesn't it? Like, you don't even get through by facing him head on.
Yeah.
You need to kill him in the back. And that, there was a chance when they actually came from behind still, and he nearly turned around and got the kill still. It was kind of worrying. Like, that was the only way they were getting rounds to begin with. And the fact that they have to go all the way behind, and even from there, they nearly mess it up. It's quite crazy. I thought MVP would probably have more to come into this game. But instead, they find that one play they can do. And obviously, that worked fine. That did work. But you need to have more.
Yeah, it is rough as well, because obviously that is only one play you can make on the T side. The CT side looked a lot more bare bones, and it did start to fall away from them. So that is the end of the breakdown for this one. The next game we're going to have coming up here on the B stream will be LDLC versus FaZe, that we'll delve back into after the break.